Brodes Media.
What is going on, everyone? If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are new to the channel, make sure you go on over to Twitter at Brodes81 and follow me there. We always have a great time. I love you all so much. Smash the thumbs up button, too. That's basically all I have to say before we dive into the action. What a beatdown by your fight-ins, huh? Enjoy the show. Good thing Bryce Harper didn't bunt the ball today. Ho-ho-ho! That first at-bat was magnificent. Gene Segura gets on, and the ball was blasted out of Milwaukee. That's why you have him in the batter's box. That's why you take every opportunity that you can to have him square one up. And I do want to reference something I stated in yesterday's show, because Michael Barkan tweeted out after the game, and I was on the radio at the time, so I wasn't able to physically hear Joe Girardi. I was going off of the tweets at the time, and Michael Barkan tweeted out there that Joe Girardi stated after the game about Bryce Harper's bunt, no comment. Well, there's a lot of context left out. He said no comment after stating that Bryce Harper made the decision. We were questioning, did that come from Joe? Was that Bryce? And ultimately, I figured that Bryce Harper has the ability to make the decisions he wants to in a game. He's Bryce fucking Harper, getting paid $330 million, and he's one of the best hitters in the damn sport. Yeah, do whatever you feel is best. That's how I thought it would go down. But when I saw no comment, without knowing it was about Bryce making the call, not about the bunt in general, without knowing who called it, that made me speculate possibly Joe telling Bryce. But now it's clear, and yeah, it's no surprise. That's what I thought it would be. You don't tell Fernando Tatis Jr. what to do. You don't tell Manny Machado what to do. You don't tell Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto what to do. They're special players. But I will say this, special players do make mistakes, and that was the wrong call by Bryce. I had so many tweets flying around my way today about this still, and I'm fired up about it still, and I'll lose sleep about it as well. I'll lose sleep thinking about it as well, because it's so mind-numbingly stupid to take the opposite side of this, and more on that in just a moment. Just because Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper. He's not perfect. Nobody is. And he's right majority of the time. But it's okay to also admit, with that specific spot and that specific moment in Game 3, butting the baseball, it was silly and it was goofy. And that's why Joe said no comment, because he did not believe in it either. And when Bryce was asked about it after, he said, move the guy over. But he knew it was wrong. He knew. And this is what I can't stand. And it tied into this game today, you know, when they had bases loaded in the 7th, and they ended up, Bryce Harper, ironically enough, struck out. He was pissed off. He was. You could tell that he was screaming at the umpire, middle of the at-bat. Even though that call was right, I do agree that that was on the outside part of the dish. It stems back to a previous at-bat that Bryce Harper felt screwed. So it wasn't necessarily narrowing in on that one individually. It was more of a product of what Bryce Harper has seen throughout that game earlier on. There was a ground ball, double play ball. They scored 0 runs with bases loaded, 0 outs. Then I got this tweet, right? This one right here. This is why you play small ball. What? That makes no sense at all. I cannot comprehend how people do not see this. Well, you play small ball because you want to manufacture runs. You want to give your team the best opportunity to score a run. Getting them closer to home plate is that. No, it's not. You're just saying that. It's not true. Here's the best way to describe it. If I give you 2 chances to put your hands in a jar of jelly beans to grab me a green one, and then I say, you know what? You can have 3 chances to do that. Which one would you choose? You take 3. You take 3. It's what it is because back in the day, before numbers came around and before anybody kept that data, no one looked at it. And in theory, if you're closer, you will take that. Well, you're closer. You're giving up an out, but you're closer. You keep saying that's a better opportunity to score. It's not, though. It's actually not. You're just saying it. You're wrong. It's not a better opportunity. So if you need to crawl and scratch for every inch because your team, even though they scored 12 runs today, throughout this season, there's been times where their offense has been doom and gloom, and you weren't getting enough runs across home plate because you need every single little tiny chance to score runs. You need everything you need. That's why you don't bunt. You're brainwashed. That's what it is. You're brainwashed into thinking third with one out is better. It's facts that it's not. So if your debate is, well, it gets you a better chance. No! Anyway, I digress. I can go on and on and on about that. Here's what we do know. The Phillies annihilated the Brewers. Woodruff on the bump. It doesn't matter. Zack Wheeler's getting 2 hits on the night. 6 homers are getting shelled. 3 against Woodruff specifically. Bryce Harper. You got Brad Miller. You had Freddie Galvis. Talk about the pop and the addition of what he's been. Here you go. You get a homer. Here you go, Freddie. You get a homer. Here you go, Freddie. You get a homer. Just Freddie Galvis stepping up and rocking that baseball since coming here in a Phillies uniform. What injury that limited me? I don't know. I'm right here. Call my name. Call my number, coach. I'm ready to rock. Freddie Galvis with the power in his bat. I demanded Zack Wheeler to put you in a good spot to win a game. And that's exactly what he did. 6 innings, 9 Ks, fastball electric. You had 16 swing and misses in his 99 pitches or so. And 10 of those came on the 4-seamer. So, he was delivering. He was executing. Gave you your 6. Hector Neris gets his 500th strikeout. And he was sensational on 3 days in a row. Call. Hey, we need you. All right, don't worry about it. I'm coming to deliver. Hector Neris, 3 straight days being utilized. In his last 28 1/3 inning pitched, he allowed 14 hits only and 4 runs only. But I was told Hector Neris was not a bullpen arm in Major League Baseball. Yes, he was. How dare you doubt his arm to be a Major League Baseball player? It's funny, right? Because I mentioned that after the game to all those silly individuals who really wanted to get him off this team, cut him. I never want to see his face again. Yeah, I didn't want him to close either. Things got uncomfortable. He can be used. He does have a nice splitter. He is adding to his repertoire. Come on now, it's foolish. But anyway, someone tweeted back at me with a tweet from, I believe it was September 24th, 2020. So basically about a year ago, where Mike Gill, who is the host of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, when I used to co-host with him, he said he'd rather, and this was during the worst bullpen we've ever seen, he'd rather throw Hector Neris out there for 3 innings than go to another player in your pen. And I'm going, Gil, you can't do that. You have a closer at the time. Remember, he was the closer. And now you just want to throw for 3 innings? That's not how baseball works. I know you live in La La Land, but you can't just do that. So I said, Hector Neris, who stinks as a closer, you want to put him in there for 3 innings? Please, stop it. So someone screen grabbed that and threw it back my way. Well, I'm talking about I never doubted him being a major league arm. That's silly. That's goofy. It's dumb. It's irrational to say he wasn't a major league arm. That's a different whole debate about being a closer or non-closer than DFA him. Get him out of here. Stop. What are we doing? Anyway, back to the home runs. Andrew McCutchen, his bat speed has clearly improved and been, a really big noticeable difference than some of the ugly stretches we've seen out of Andrew McCutchen. Gene Segura, 3 hits total. Brad Miller, 3 hits total too. But let's add a grand slam to Gene Segura. And when Kutch did his first pitch, swinging, getting to the Brewers bullpen. And, of course, this is what happens, right? No Atlanta game, so you picks them up in the standings. Reds lose, Cardinals lose. Thank you, Cubs. Thank you, Dodgers. So just when you think, oh, they lose to the Marlins, there's something that is just generated in the baseball world that keeps you involved. And, I can't believe that the bar is so low that I'm even throwing this out there and speaking out loud to see if it sticks. But over the most recent years, what has happened when we got close to this time, right? It was an epic collapse. It was a downfall like no other. You were basically falling right off of a cliff, and it was a major nosedive because it's not a nosedive. Let's say they just don't make the playoffs, right? Let's say they don't. But they stay 1.5 games back, 1 game back, and they just get outreached by an Atlanta Braves team in this hypothetical just because we're at least now not collapsing and now we're staying involved in September. Not good enough to make that leap. But you're taking a leap from whatever you call the disaster of the last handful of seasons. Is there any positive spin on that? And once again, the fact that the bar is that low makes me want to vomit. It makes me sick. But it is reality of the situation as well. And I can't pretend that I don't think about that. I do. We're talking about a timeline. We're talking about trajectory. Well, Gabe Kapler, nonsense. Didn't work out as we would have maybe imagined or wanted it to. All right, Dave Dombrowski, Joe Girardi, okay, it was a historic bullpen. What do you have next? Now Dave Dombrowski's firing people, and he's making moves to fill those roles with people he feels higher caliber, knows more about the game. Is the trajectory going up, even if they don't necessarily get a playoff game? But if they stay into it, if you will. If we're watching September into October baseball. I'm saying early October where it's the last series of the regular season, but the last series matters instead of the fifth to last series being the one that matters last or has any sort of value, because after that, the last 4 series are just, irrelevant baseball at that point where no team is competing. Neris, I mentioned, 500 Ks, amazing. What else? Matt Moore, 2 innings pitched. How about that? I thought it was ironic that Andrew McCutchen and Didi Gregorius could have knocked in runs earlier in the game with the man on third base and 1 out, but no bueno. Just the scenario that played out perfectly with that bunt the other day. It just keeps showing up. It does. And there's not enough sample size fully to make a judgment or make a case off of these last couple of games, but it is ironic, right? You still have a good chance scoring with someone on third with 1 out. It's just not as high as it is with a man on second base with 0 outs. A man on 2, I guess I was going to say, if that even makes sense. And of course, it doesn't. Let's see if Aaron Nola makes sense tomorrow. We need a big one out of him. We just got it out of Zack Wheeler. We need it big time for Aaron Nola. Whether they won or lost, I wanted to see if these 3 starting pitchers could make some splashes here and keep you involved at a really high clip. Zack Wheeler definitely did that. Now, I can't anticipate seeing 12 runs and shutout baseball every game throughout the series, but the Phillies do have the Brewers' number this year. If you remember, there was a homestand early on. Zack Wheeler was sensational. The Phillies swept them. There were injuries 1,000% involved for sure, but still, I mean, it's tough to beat a team that many times at home in a row. And, well, they did that, right? I mean, they can't even beat the Marlins on the road. But I want to go to Aaron Nola's last few starts so we can see what we're dealing with. When he's on, he's on. He might be on. Who knows? Maybe he feeds off of Zack Wheeler in that effort where I want to counter that. I want to dominate and show my worth, damn it. We don't know if it'll be that way. Of course, it's a lot easier said than done. So when we go to September, he went 4 innings, 6 earned runs, 2 walked batters, allowed 2 home runs. Not good. That was against the Washington Nationals in a 7-6 win. Still, though, no, not good. Arizona, August 27th, he went 5 1/3, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. I know the stat sheet doesn't scream anything crazy, but I thought that was a good effort. 8 2/3 with 11 Ks against the Padres was a good effort, even though that's the game, ironically enough, where they lost. 4 1/3, 4 earned runs, 3 walked batters, 4 innings, 0 earned runs, 7 Ks, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. It's a lot of ups and downs. When he's good and he's locked in, hallelujah. When he's bad and it makes you cry, woof. Aaron Nola, all I'm asking for you to do is let's stay engaged here. Let the team have the ability. Let the team have the ability to score some runs and win this bad boy. Let's win this puppy. And you needed the bullpen to have help. They pitched, 10 pitchers the other day? And by the way, Joe Girardi deserves credit with that. No credit at all. I heard Zippo about the credit to Joe Girardi after maneuvering through a bullpen game to win a game. And this is the type of stuff I hear afterwards. The Phillies manager should be fired. Why does he keep putting Didi Gregorius in the game? Well, because he is a paid shortstop for this team, and they are going to utilize him as they should, even though he's been a down year. You have a power lefty bat in your lineup. You don't have Rhys Hoskins, who's clearly on the right side of the dish, but I'm just talking about power bats in general. Do you see how you score runs? Do you see what happens when you hit the long ball? The threat of the long ball with Didi is needed. Now, Freddie Galvis is hitting home runs. I understand that. It's not something I can live and die with for long term. It's working right now, and it seems a lot of these lesser players that are utility guys are doing enough. Brad Miller's hitting a homer. Torreyes had 2 hits. He got an RBI in there. They are, but playing Didi Gregorius, you're going to scream at Joe Girardi for that? He does not know how to utilize his pitching. Batters are swinging in 3-1 counts. Please fire the manager. Excuse me? Batters are hitting in 3-1 counts? Yeah, that's called baseball. That's called hitter's count. That's literally what it's called, a hitter's count. They should be swinging on 3-1. 3-0, different story. I give some individuals the nod. Bryce can swing 3-0 whenever he wants. Rhys Hoskins can swing 3-0 whenever he wants. But seriously, that's just a lack of knowledge. There were so many others in there as well. What else? Let's keep scrolling here. Girardi should be fired for mismanaging the pitching staff. Why would he have a game throwing Ranger Suarez on a limited pitch count right before a bullpen game? Well, you're throwing a bullpen game by default. Nobody wants to throw this bullpen game right now, but because Matt Moore, Chase Anderson, Vince Velasquez, and the rest of the gang is absolutely vomits, well, this is what occurs when that's the case. And with Ranger Suarez, he had soreness and he had tightness in his triceps, or fatigue, I should say. That's how they labeled it. It was fatigue in his triceps. He could have went more than 71. He threw 95 and 99 pitches the day before, or the 2 games before. So, yeah, I mean, did they anticipate shutting him down at 70 pitches? At some point, though, regardless, here's what I'm saying. You have one dude you're stretching out from a closer in a bullpen role to be a starter. These are the type of things that occur when that is the case. This is by default because you even have to move bullpen pieces to starters because you don't have an option for your 5th-day starter. That tells me more about the team being where they are today than it does Joe Girardi not knowing how to manage. By the way, I'll tell you what DraftKings knows, and that's making money. You can make that money utilizing DraftKings. The NFL is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving all new players a can't-miss offer for Week 1. So bet just $1 in any NFL game during the first week of the season and receive $200 in free bets instantly. No matter what, take advantage of this limited time offer right now. You heard right. DraftKings is giving all new players $200 in free bets instantly when you place a bet of $1 or more in any Week 1 game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 1 game. That's promo code Brodes to get your free $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Here's another message that I got, and this is from Mary Payton. I've been saying for a long time that Joe Girardi stinks. The only reason why he was so successful in New York is because the Yankees were a great team. Real quickly before I continue, yeah, that makes sense. Let me know the last time a very average team on paper and a very average team roster-wise won the championship because the manager was so elite he knew how to manage an average team to a World Series team. It just does not happen that way. You win and you are successful because you have a good team. The manager is a product of the players competing and the players executing. That's what it comes down to. You're telling me if I had a good team, Joe Girardi knows how to manage that? Huh. That means something to me. Anyway, Mary continues, I disagree with you on Suarez because even Ricky Bo said Girardi has made it up that he will only use him for several innings. Ranger was fine, and that was a horrible move from Joe, as usual. I love Ricky Bo. I think he does a fantastic job. I've had him on the radio multiple times as a guest. I recently was able to meet him over at the Fanatic, and he's just a great dude. I just disagree with his assessment on Ranger Suarez, and when I see errors in I guess not errors isn't the word I'm looking for, but when I see physical evidence that something's going wrong with the pitcher, velocity's dipping, soreness and fatigue is happening, and it makes a lot of sense. This is why you see this type of injury or this type of fatigue happen in a spring training scenario. It's because you're stretching somebody out. And right now, they look to see him throwing his next time around the rotation, which is important, but you also have to limit it as well. I can't just ignore that data. Speaking of days off and whatnot, though, you got Wheeler some extra days off, and I would imagine that a lot of that had to correlate to the success that you saw today. Let's see what else we got with the Joe Girardi nonsense. I'm not a huge Joe Girardi guy. I don't think that he's been anything to brag about or to die on the Joe Girardi hill. I'm not dying on the Joe Girardi hill. I'm just saying that you bring in another manager and another manager and another manager, you'll want him fired and him fired and him fired, just like, right, with Doc Rivers. People wanted Doc Rivers fired after that playoff series. But I was told that Brett Brown was so garbage and the worst ever in the history of sports that you're telling me you also want one of the top 5 most respected coaches in the sport today fired, and there wasn't that much of a difference with what you were complaining about in the postseason? It's almost like, I don't know, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, the players on the roster have that much of an impact where that's the major problem more so than the ones making the calls. Not that there's no importance to the ones making the call. There absolutely is. Problem number 1 with this team is definitely not Joe. He falls way lower on my list. I'm looking at all the positions individually first. 1,000%. So I'm excited for tomorrow. That's for damn sure. See this team play. It'll be September 7th. And guess what? We'll be fighting along here. And I'll tell you right now where they stand with the wild card and with the division. So with the wild card race right now, as we speak, they are 2 games back. Cincinnati and San Diego are where you're kind of looking at right now. St. Louis slipped behind you. The Mets are 500 baseball right now. The Dodgers and San Diego are in your wild card spots right now, and Cincinnati is right ahead of you. So you're 2 games back of the wild card, and with your division, the Philadelphia Phillies are 1.5 games back. Looking at that Braves team. And the Braves are opening up a series against the Washington Nationals. I don't know if that's in Atlanta or if that's in Washington. I think it's in Washington. Nope, I lied. It's in Atlanta. So they are home. For whatever that's worth, they are at their home ballpark. All right, I think that's about it for today. Just a dominant performance and excellent, right? You handled business. Typical Phillies fashion. Lose against a team you should beat big time. Beat a team and smack them heavily that you thought would be a tough one. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the series, right? Because that's how it goes. I said this, what was that, the Diamondbacks and the Padres? I figured, and, the Padres were kind of falling apart and collapsing during that time, but when you lose to the Diamondbacks and you see the Padres next, and it was that ugly, you thought, well, they'll probably sweep the Padres or something, and, they gained us back a bit. They got us as fans convinced after that Padres series, even though it wasn't to that full-on level, it was a winning series, and you just looked at that as a positive as you were chugging along, and here we are. All right, with that said, I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.